In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, you're watching Discovering Islam, and we're continuing the series of discussions on self-development. I'm having the honor to be at the presence of a great scholar, dear Dr. Muhammad Ali Shomali, who has got the BA and MA from Tehran University in Western philosophy. And also he's got the PhD in moral philosophy from the University of Manchester. And he's now the head of the Department of Religion in Imam Khomeini Institute. I welcome you, sir, to this program, first of all. And after your short greeting and also a review of the past courses, we'll continue.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi tayyibin at-tahirin. I also offer my salam, my greeting of peace to you and all our dear viewers, and hope that inshallah what we are going to say and what we are going to listen would be beneficial for all of us.
I hope so.
As you remember, we've been talking about the issue of self-development. And we said that Islam attaches great importance on the issue of self-development in the sense that we need to look after our piety and our spirituality and do our best to improve ourselves from inside. And we talked about the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this as a great mission of all the prophets to come and purify the people. And also we've been talking about different approaches to this issue and also about different methodological attitudes towards this issue. So after discussing all these issues, so we hope that in this session we can continue this issue, inshallah. And so I am here if you have any.
Thank you. Actually, something that was in my mind as a kind of idea about this programs was that it's all about being aware of ourselves, to be alert about our deeds, to know that what is the consequence of our deeds. And if we know that these consequences are very important, we would be very more careful about what we do and we think about it. And this thinking may lead us to a kind of self-development, isn't it, like that?
You know, for the people who have some aims in their mind, the most dangerous thing is to forget that they have some aim. So we are not talking about the people who have no aim in their life, but the people normally, like the believers who have the aim of improving themselves and getting closer to God the Almighty. So the most dangerous thing is negligence. Negligence is something that is very severely treated in the Quran and in our hadith. Because when you are negligent, then you are not able to defend yourself. You are not able to meet the challenges. Like, for example, someone who is awake, and then, for example, he's sleeping and then a car is coming towards him, for example, or there is a fire, for example, or there is an earthquake.
It could be a shock.
Yeah, so if you are not alert, then you cannot protect yourself.
Of course.
This is why Muslim mystics say that the very first step for a person who wants to embark on the spiritual journey is to become alert, to become awake, or what they call it yaqza, which means awakeness. And even some people say this is not the first station, it is 0 station, which means that before actually embarking on the journey, you have to become alert. Because if you are not alert, you cannot make one step even further.
Sure.
So this issue is very important. And the late Imam Khomeini also in his lectures on spirituality, which later were published as Jihad Akbar, the greater struggle, which is the combat with our own self. He also mentioned that the first step is yaqza, which means awakeness. There is a beautiful hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in which he said, "An-nasu niyamun فَإِذَا مَا تُنْتَبَهُ. People are asleep. This is not physical sleep.
Sure.
This is a
of course not.
spiritual sleep.
Yes.
So people, most of people, of course there are exceptions like, the prophets, like the pious, very pious people, but normally, generally speaking, الناس نيام, the people are asleep. When they die,
Okay.
then they become alert. They become conscious.
Right.
Because then they see what is the real nature of the life that they had in this dunya, and they have to be answerable to God and accountable for what they have done. But
actually, at the same time, we have, of course, some other evidences for this that you mean. I can remember one or two things about the root of the meaning of dunya in the Arabic term, that it means lower world, and of course about the next and hereafter, that is actually the living world, the Dar al-Hayawan. It seems like it is like this, that is the true awareness, isn't it?
Yeah, there is a discussion whether dunya comes from duno, which means nearness, or from dana'a, which means to be low and mean.
Okay.
So either it is called dunya because this is nearer to us, or because it is lower
All right.
in rank than the next world.
Which one do you yourself believe in? Mostly.
I think both can be correct.
Okay.
And
At the same time.
I don't see any reason to prefer one to the other. But the reality is that dunya is nearer and also lower in rank. Both of
course,
them
sure.
is correct.
Yes.
So when we die, definitely, whether a believer or non-believer, whether a pious or non-pious person, they all become alert.
Right.
And this is why the Quran says, حتى إذا جاء أحدهم الموت قال رب ارجعون. When one of them dies, the people who have not had pious life, when they die, they say, "Oh God, please send us back. We want to return to dunya.
Right.
لعلي أعمل صالحا فيما تركت."
For some kind of correction.
Yeah, so maybe I can correct my behavior. Maybe I can do something with the money that I left. Now I can do charity. I can help people. I can, serve you more. But then God says, "Kalla, nay. إنها كلمة هو قائلها." This is just few words that this person utters. There is no point.
They're saying.
Yeah, and maybe it means also that first they will have no choice to go back, and second, maybe it means that even if they are sent back, again they will be the same people.
Because their nature, their actually what they made was like that, and of course those consequences would be proved from those natures.
Like the people who, when, for example, are faced with serious illness or difficulties, or for example, risks, threats, then they start praying, wholeheartedly to God, please save us. Then we will be a very good people, Then, as soon as the problem is over, then they forgot.
Yes.
So, the people after they die, they become alert. But that's too late. Because then you cannot do anything. It's like, for example, someone who has a very important journey. And he has the, for example, ticket, everything ready.
Okay.
But just before he gets into the train station, then he falls asleep. And when he wakes up, the time has gone. And the train has already departed.
Sure.
So he is alert.
They lost.
Very fresh. But what can he do?
They lost the way.
So he has missed the train, and there is no point. We must not be like those people who have missed the train.
And you mean
especially
that this kind of negligence is the reason for that, the cause for such a thing that happens?
Yeah. Especially if we remember that our example is much greater than the example of missing a train. Because if you miss a train, so you can catch the next train.
Sure.
Or you can, get a taxi or get a bus.
Lots of kind of make up.
Yeah, but for us, this life is the only life.
Yes.
So it's as if, there is only one train.
We just experienced it one time. This is, if we lose it, we lose it forever.
So what we need to do is to make sure that we don't fall asleep before we get into the train.
Try
if
to
you get
be
into the
alert all
train,
time.
then there will be plenty of time to rest.
Sure. Yeah,
when we
that's
die,
it.
then we can, enjoy,
Yes.
inshallah, if we had good life. But what is important is that now we cannot accept any negligence. So the very first step for every person who wants to make sure that he can get closer to his aims and ideals, and for us, to get closer to God, is to become alert
And this
awake.
seems that this is the total matter, that to be aware and stay aware. We can continue this after a short break. We'll be back. Aware, fully alert. This is that seems that what life calls. We were continuing that. Yes.
Yeah, so we need to keep awake. How can we keep awake?
Okay.
One thing which is very helpful is to remember that our life is very short.
Sure.
Even, if we live, for hundreds of years.
We don't have any idea how long it would be.
Yeah, but, I'm saying, even if, for example, it is guaranteed for you that you will live, long,
Right.
inshallah, hundreds of years.
Okay.
Still, hundreds of years is nothing
Comparing,
comparable,
yes.
nothing comparable to the eternal life that we are going to have.
Yes, the eternity.
And what you do in every second would be affecting your eternal life afterwards. So you
Time is gold.
cannot play even with one moment of this life.
Sure.
But as you said, we don't know how much we are going to live.
Yes.
Maybe another year, maybe another month, maybe just another day, maybe right now
Yes,
we are
okay.
going to die.
Sure.
Nothing is guaranteed for us. Unfortunately, when we see that people are dying, around us, we feel that we have some kind of immunity and
Yes.
protection, that this is not going to happen to me.
Yeah, sure.
It's only for others.
Right.
Sa'di,
living.
the famous Persian poet, he says that our example is like a cattle of sheep. And, when, for example, they are taken into the slaughterhouse, and one by one they are slaughtered. Okay? And they all see what is happening. They are missing one by one,
Yes.
but they are just enjoying,
Life.
eating grass.
Sure.
How can we be like this? When we see that our dead, parents who were with us and they are not with us, or our friends, our neighbors, our, for example, friends and colleagues in where we work, our, for example, relatives, all are dying.
Sure.
So how can we feel safe and say that I will have plenty of time?
Impossible. It seems out of mind to be like that.
Yeah. Sometimes, people complain why the angel of death, Israel, comes, without any notice
Okay.
and takes our soul to the other world.
Good.
But indeed, Israel always gives warning,
Is giving us notice.
but we don't take the signal.
Yes.
So, for example, when people around us are dying, so this is a signal for you.
Sure.
When I see that my
We
beard,
feel that he's around.
yeah, when I see my beard and hair are becoming white, so this is a signal.
Sure.
When I see that, for example, my children are growing up, this is a signal.
Okay.
When I see that there are many people who have accident and they die, all of a sudden, or people who are quite, well, and then they have heart attack and die. So these are all signals, but we don't want to get the signal. So what is?
Unfortunately, for most of the people, they're just getting older, but they do not grow.
Yeah. So we cannot complain about the angel of death, while we have been given so many signals.
Yes, of course.
So we have to be prepared
Sure.
for our journey towards God.
Right.
And we have to be so much prepared that if at any moment our death happens,
What kind of
we are ready for
preparation?
that.
What kind of preparation do you mean by that?
First, to really, not just
Okay.
by words, really think that at any moment we may be saying goodbye to this world. This is very important. If you really feel this, there is a hadith which is in Irshad al-Qulub
Okay.
by Daylami, volume 1, page 74. And this hadith mentions that one of the teachings of God to the Prophet Musa, which was in his book, was
Moses, you mean?
Prophet Musa,
Moses.
Moses,
Okay, yes.
was عجبت لمن أيقن بالموت كيف يفرح.
Wow.
I wonder, the one who is certain about his death, how can he ever be happy and smiling and laughing in a, of course, negligent way? There is no, harm in being, happy, but just laughing in a forgetful, way, this is not possible.
If we do not care about our deeds,
Yeah.
you mean?
So, if you really think that you are going to die at any time, you will become very serious.
Yeah, sure.
Like the one who has a very important exam, the most important exam of his life.
Right.
And then he doesn't know when. Anytime they may ask him to sit for exam, so he must always be ready
Yes.
because he has only one opportunity.
All time is reading, studying, and non-stop way.
So remembrance of death is very powerful instrument, and inshallah later on we will talk about it in more details. And if we really remember death, then we become conscious, and this is why you see that in the Quran there are so many verses of the Quran. About 1/3 of the Quran actually is about the hereafter, about the next world, about death and what is going to happen after death. Why? Because it's only by remembrance of death that we can appreciate the gift of life and what we can do in this life. So this is very important. Once I read in a book, in an introduction to a book by one of the scholars, that he had, I think it was Sheikh Maghniya or one of the other scholars from Iraq.
Yes.
In his library, he had fixed a frame in front of him so that he can always see, which was taken from a hadith. الليل والنهار يعملان فيك فاعمل فيهما. Day and night constantly are at work in you. Every day is affecting you. You are becoming one day older.
Yes.
It means that your opportunity is becoming less.
One day less.
Your power is getting less. Everything is getting weaker and less. الليل والنهار يعملان فيك. They are constantly at work in you. فاعمل فيهما. So you also do something in them. So try to take advantage of doing something
moments
in every day and in every night. And this is why Imam Ali alayhi salam said, Man tasawa yawmah fahuwa maghboon. If 2 days of you are the same.
Of course, of a person who is just remembering this, a person who is not neglect about this.
Yeah. Imam Ali said, if 2 days are the same, then you are in loss. So unfortunately, sometimes we say, this year and last year is the same.
Wow.
Or I look back, I see that my last year even was better. So this is tragedy. Imam Ali says, every day you must be in a better position than the previous day.
And I think he states about this kind of worse things, that if your next day is worse than the previous, it is a bigger loss. than that.
Maybe it's not actually in the hadith, but
Okay.
of course this is very natural,
Result of
implication that if 2 days are the same, so you are in loss. So what about someone whose next day is worse than, so they would be in a greater loss. So
sure, of course.
we need to be fully alert and conscious about the fact that our life is vulnerable, is subject to all different types of problems. Even, even if you are not dying, for example,
Okay.
still there are many other problems that can take away from you your freedom or your ability to work. For example, you are healthy. God forbid you may become severely ill. Then for you, the chance of doing good deeds may become less. For example, going for visiting, your parents or relatives may become very difficult if you cannot walk. Or for example, sometimes, you will have headache. There are people who have migraine, or for them it's very difficult to study and to focus and reflect, for example, when they study Quran. Of course, the people who have been doing well, when they were healthy, when they become ill also, because of their intention, God will reward them.
It is just because they care about life, they care about what is happening in their own life. We can just follow this back after a short break. Okay, we'll just be back.
یه بار دیگه این برگشت رو بگیم یه لحظه بعد از اوکی دوباره ضبطه بریم 3 2
So it is, of course, because they are aware of the precious life they have, as you mentioned. We'll be back after a short break.
خب ممنون ادامهش بریم بریم ضبطه 3 2
We're talking about the precious life. How precious is your life? We're just continuing it.
Yeah. Another example, which I find it very useful, is, if we imagine a person who is in a very dark and very also deep well. So for example, someone who has gone to take water from the well, but then he has fallen. Thanks to God, he finds, when he's going down, a rope. So he holds firmly the rope so that he doesn't go to the bottom of the well. Okay. Our example is like a person who is holding a rope and he is between the surface, between the ground and the bottom of the well, just suspending. And this rope is being harmed and becoming weaker and weaker by 2 rats, one black and one white.
You're making it horror.
How terrible is that situation?
Of course.
You have only the rope, everywhere is dark, no one to help you, you cannot see properly what is happening, but you can just see that on the top there is one black and one white rat, and they are chewing the rope. And you have only few maybe minutes left. So can you then be relaxed?
Impossible.
And
It's
be
terrifying.
negligent?
It's of course terrifying.
Yeah.
Horrible.
This is our example. Our life is like that rope.
We're hanging
The
on.
only thing that we have. And that black and white is day and night. Rats, which are chewing our life.
Yes.
So every day and night is making our life shorter.
Yes.
And we don't have any other thing. This is only one life that we have.
Yes, of course.
So how can we then negligent? How can we forgetting?
And of course, as you mentioned, because we don't have any idea about how long our life could be, we just should catch the moment.
Yeah.
The very moment.
Yeah, we should appreciate the moment in this sense, because unfortunately sometimes, people say we should catch the moment in the sense that, okay, we should,
Take a chance.
take
or
a chance
for
and
any
indulge
opportunity.
ourselves and not to be concerned about the future.
No, no, no. Of course, for
In the
just
sense that-
having the opportunity to go up.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
To catch the moment for our future,
Yes.
to invest with this for our eternal life. So I think there are many, many techniques to help us to be always conscious. And one of the things that very much helps is if you interact with the people who have this quality.
Okay.
For example, maybe among your friends or relatives or neighbors or scholars,
Some aware people.
the people that when you look at them, when you listen to them, when you look at their alertness, you yourself become
You
alert.
come out of darkness and you come out
Yeah.
of the ambiguity.
You we have a hadith that the disciples of the prophet Isa, Jesus,
Okay, yes.
asked him, whom should we take as our companions, as our friends? And he said that you should take the people who have these qualities.
Okay.
Man yudhakkirukumullah ru'yatuh. The people that when you see them and look at them, they remind you of God.
Okay. Very nice.
Unfortunately, there are people that when we look at them, they make us forget
Think
God.
of evil. Yes, and we think of evil actually.
So-
Sometimes, unfortunately.
The second was يَزِيدُ فِي عِلْمِكُمْ مَنْتِقُهُ. When they
Very
speak,
good.
they increase your knowledge. Unfortunately, there are people that when they speak, they make us, confused.
And maybe you lose the knowledge you have.
Even your knowledge, you start doubting.
Yes.
Or, for example, they just waste your time.
Of
Maybe
course.
just, nonsense. And thirdly, يُرَقِّبُكُمْ فِي الْآخِرَةِ عَمَلُهُ. His
This is
practice
important.
makes you more encouraged to work
Motivated.
and motivated to work for your eternal life.
As a kind of a stimulus. Stimulate you.
Yeah. This is why the Quran says, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ.
Always.
Man is in loss.
For
For sure. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمَلُوا الصَّالَاةِ. Except the people who have faith and do righteous deeds. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ.
Do the right deed.
Yeah, and
Yes.
they enjoin each other and advise each other to observe the truth and patience. So it's very important that if I have a friend or a colleague, or maybe husband and wife, maybe children and parents, maybe cousins, maybe neighbors, anyway, a person who has this alertness, and if I forget, he can remind me. If he forgets, I can remind him. We have another beautiful hadith which says that a good mu'min as a brother and sister in faith is like the one that if you forget, he reminds you. And if you remember, he increases
Your awareness.
your awareness. So
Very good.
this is a very important technique to make
Sure.
sure that the people that you associate with, the people that you live with, are this type of people.
Choose a very good partner.
Yeah.
First of all.
And also, if some people say that, for example, we live in a society that we don't have this type of people around us, so at least to read
Yes.
the lives of these type of people, the lives of scholars, the life of great personalities.
And stay on the track.
Stay on the track. And also another thing which is very important is to read and the supplications and reflect on them. Because all the problems and all the possible threats that can threaten mankind are mentioned in the Quran and in our supplications. So if we reflect on them and check ourselves against them, then
Yes.
so they have You have to see if you don't have this problem, so you tick
Check off.
If you have it, then you write a note for yourself that
Okay.
I sort out this problem.
You mean check out and check on?
Yeah.
On
You always need to check your to find out whether you can comply